Bad childhood experiences can follow you the rest of your life. That's no secret. But it can also influence the career you choose. And that happened to Janice Lee. Janice, thanks so much for joining me. What was the trauma in your childhood?
Thank you, Craig, for having me. Yes, sometimes childhood can be very difficult. Mine started when I was probably around 4 years old. I kind of realized what was happening in my family. My father was an alcoholic. He was a gambler. There's a lot of trauma in our household, a lot of fighting, a lot of things that were going on. And when I was 4 years old, I remember that my father came home from wherever he had gone out to. The house was quiet, everybody was in bed. He came in and I fell down the basement stairs. Nobody else got up, to see if he was okay, to help him. So I did at 4 years old. So I went down the stairs and I tried to pick him up. I tried to help him to get up the stairs. Obviously, he was so much bigger than me and heavier than me. And it was a real traumatic experience to try to do that. When I went downstairs, I was afraid he was dead. It was a very difficult time. And it's something that I will never forget.
And it carries through to your adulthood. How did those experiences with your father as a child affect your adulthood?
It affected in many, many ways. I found that I spent a lot of time during my childhood taking care of my father. I became his parent, his caretaker. And for me, I ended up spending a lot of time with the men that whereas the men that I was meeting, going out with, I became their caretaker too. It was a very unhealthy relationship.
But in addition to affecting your relationship with men and your adulthood, it also influenced your career. How did it do that?
I decided to become what we would call a healer. So I help people through many different modalities. One thing I do is I'm a Reiki master, so I help them through Reiki. I do what we call access consciousness bars. Theta healing is a very wonderful healing modality. And then the last one that I decided to take up on was Tantra.
And what is it that you like about Tantra?
Tantra actually is my passion. When I got into Tantra, I realized that there was so much more to it than I had initially realized. The reason I got into Tantra was I was a woman out there in the dating field, and I found that the quality of partners that I was finding just were not up to par. I had been in a long-term relationship, and when I got out of it, what happened was there was online dating, and it was all about hookups. It was the hookup society, and it was very low vibrational to me. So I thought, there's got to be something else. There's got to be a different way. There's got to be something that is has more depths, more substantial, intimacy with it than just some hookup that you never see anybody again.
So what you were encountering was potential partners just for a physical act. And what you were looking for was a deeper connection.
Definitely, yes.
And so how did you hear about Tantra?
It was something that you hear about every once in a while. I mean, Sting,
Usually Sting, yeah.
Sting really, really made it public, which is great. So I started going to some woman groups. I wanted to bond with other women. And I found that they were feeling the same way as me. They had the same stories. They had problems with, not, just sexual trauma. Like we all, there has been so many of us that have gone through some form of sexual trauma. And whether it be something as little as, just flirting, in the workplace, to rape. Women have gone through many different traumas throughout all the years. And I found that maybe I can help. Maybe I can use Tantra to help them, and to help the men realize that what they're doing.
Yeah, I think we all need the help. And I'm not joking about that. I mean, the era that I was raised in, you didn't hear much about consent. You didn't hear much about closeness. You heard a
No.
lot of different messages.
Yeah. Boundaries and consent were not something that were ever talked about. The one thing I love about Tantra is boundaries and consent is something that is discussed before anything ever happens. And I think the world needs to really discover that, because it would be a much easier and better humanity if that is something that is discussed all the time. There wouldn't be all the problems that are taking place between men and women in the world.
Well, if people are interested in what you're offering, teaching Tantra as a way to become close with other people, and to enter into a world where boundaries and consent are up front and lead to a better experience, how can people contact you?
They can contact me through Janice Lee at info@cvsoul.com. That's my email address. I'm on Facebook at www.consciousvibrationshealing.com.
And I'm sure people can find you on LinkedIn. You're not hiding. It's
LinkedIn,
Heart and Soul Tantra.
Facebook, Instagram. I'm on them all.
Janice, thank you so much for speaking with me today. And thank you so much for taking the trauma from your childhood and turning it into an opportunity to bring some good into the world.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.